Discover the hidden strength that helps 5 million people transform their lives during hard times. In the quiet town of Maplewood, where dreams flickered like the dying embers of a once vibrant fire, Sarah woke before dawn, her heavy heart underlined by necessity. She felt like a juggling act, balancing on the thin line of exhaustion and determination, as she stirred oatmeal and flipped pancakes. Alex's laughter blended with Lily's sleepy yawns, the chaos of breakfast a comforting routine. Yet outside, the crumbling buildings whispered of dreams deferred, shadows hanging over their heads. Daily, she poured coffee and took orders at the diner, serving the same familiar faces whose lives seemed so much smoother than her own. Each tip that fluttered into her pocket filled her with a glimmer of hope, a brief reminder that maybe she could provide for her kids, even in this gray town that once thrived. With factory jobs dissolving like sugar in water, the judgments of others felt heavy on her shoulders, the whispers implying she was just another struggling single mother trapped in a dead-end life. As she walked past the desolate town square, those for sale signs seemed to mock her. Hopes of a better future faded, yet she found a haven in the old community center, a fading reminder of what Maplewood used to be. Threads of connection woven with laughter and shared meals, its walls held echoes of resilience. But now, rumors of its closure sent shivers down her spine. How could they let go of the last thread of hope for families like hers? Fueled by a fierce love for her kids, Sarah resolved to save the center. Gathering her courage, she drafted an invitation for a community meeting at the diner. Each flyer she handed out felt like she was raising a flag of rebellion. "We need to fight for this," became her mantra. With each signature, she inhaled strength from her neighbors, buried in layers of pain and self-doubt. Would they rally together? Would they dare to put aside their fears and confront the whispers of inadequacy holding them back? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the meeting drew closer, her mind raced with the burden of expectations. Tales of her grandmother's sacrifices resurfaced. They resonated with the struggles of the present day. Each story stirred something deep within her, a fierce drive for change. Yet, as whispers of dissent filtered through the crowd, she could feel fear gnawing at her resolve. The wealthy businessman looming over them represented a stark division. He was threatened by their unity. Tensions escalated at the community meeting, the air heavy with unspoken fears. Sarah stood before her neighbors, her heart pounding like a drum. In that moment, the room fell silent, the weight of hope and despair hanging precariously. As she recounted the tales of her grandmother's sacrifice, a spark ignited among them. Could they really turn the tide together? The answers were buried deep, veiled in layers of self-doubt and societal judgment, and just as hope began to twinkle like a distant star, a voice rose, challenging her fight. Sarah stood at a crossroad, her voice trembling with conviction, the eyes before her flickering with uncertainty. Would they seize this moment to reclaim their dignity, or would fear snuff it out? The tension twisted in the air, leaving the audience breathless, waiting for her next words, ready to follow her into the unknown. Sarah's heart raced as she locked eyes with the woman who had spoken, a familiar face but one filled with apprehension. "Why should we trust you?" the woman demanded, her voice trembling yet resolute. "What makes you think we can change anything?" The weight of that question hung in the air, thick and suffocating. Suddenly, the optimism she had clung to teetered on the brink of collapse. It felt as if her dreams for the center were about to dissolve like sugar in warm water. "Because we can't afford to be silent anymore." Sarah's voice broke free, infused with emotion that swelled in her chest. "If we believe in each other, if we fight for this place, we can revive our community. This is our home." She scanned the room, searching for signs of agreement. Some faces softened, but others remained etched with doubt. The businessman, Roger, stood across the room, arms crossed, a knowing smirk on his lips. It was as if he thrived on their hesitations, feeding off their fears. "We've lost so much already, Sarah," another neighbor chimed in, glancing at the floor. "What if we fail?" Her gut twisted at the thought. Failing felt like a weight too heavy to bear, especially when she was already fighting for her children's future. "But what if we don't?" she pleaded, hopeful tears brimming in her eyes. "What if we stand together and show Maplewood the power of community? Together, we can transform this place." A rustle grew throughout the crowd, a murmur of energy pulsing through as she spoke. Families who had once hidden behind the barriers of their struggles shifted, leaning in closer, their collective fear slowly melting under the warmth of a shared dream. "I've seen it," Sarah continued, emboldened. "I've seen how we can be stronger when we unite. My grandmother taught me that the heart of a town lies in its people. We are the heart." A nod from a father in the back ignited a spark. Others began to share hesitant smiles as the doubts began to lift, like fog under the sun. She could sense the growing momentum, the shift in their understanding of what they could achieve together. "Let us turn this fear into action," Sarah urged. "Let us gather signatures and hold a rally. We'll show this town that we refuse to go quietly." The mood in the room shifted. Whispers of hope reignited into conversations about ideas, plans, and dreams. They were finding their voices again, and just like the vibrant community center once alive with laughter, it felt alive anew. But as the planning took shape, Sarah caught sight of Roger, his expression hardening, such that she could taste the impending storm. She sensed this was not over. "Together!" she shouted suddenly, rallying their energies one last time. "Together, we can breathe life back into Maplewood. We can do this." Cheers erupted, but somewhere within her heart, doubt fluttered like a trapped bird. Would they really stand together when the storm hit hard? As she watched her neighbors begin to rally, something deep in her gut told her the struggle was just beginning. She could feel the storm gathering, it was an unshakable sense of urgency clawing at her chest. But what if they stood strong against it? In the midst of the unfolding celebration, she found herself doubting whether the warmth of their unity would survive the tests ahead. Would they all be ready to face the reality that was about to crash down upon them? As the buzz of excitement filled the room, Sarah couldn't shake the unease warring inside her. The energy was palpable, but Roger's looming presence felt like a shadow overjoyed to snuff out their light. She stole a glance at him, his smirk now sharper, the corners of his mouth twisting like a tightening noose. It was unsettling, like he was plotting something attention-grabbing to keep them all in line. "Remember what we're doing," Sarah shouted over the rising chatter. "We're gathering strength, not just for ourselves but for our children, for everyone in Maplewood. No one should feel alone. If we stand strong." But even as she spoke, the doubts crept back in, each word battling against the incessant worry in her chest. Would standing strong truly be enough against someone who thrived on chaos? The rally meeting evolved, becoming a storm of creativity. A whiteboard filled rapidly with ideas, banners, flyers, social media campaigns, each one a spark of hope. Sarah felt her heart swell as they all lobbied for the center, glancing at their ideas and dreaming together of a brighter tomorrow. Emerging from the back of the room, a soft voice interrupted, "But what if Roger retaliates? What if he sabotages our efforts?" It was an older woman, trembling with fear. Sarah knew her, Evelyn, a single grandmother. Just as Sarah opened her mouth to reassure Evelyn, an explosive thought crashed through her brain. What if that was exactly Roger's plan? What if being united meant painting a target on their backs? "Look!" she exclaimed suddenly, "what we're fighting for may provoke backlash. But we can prepare. It won't stop us." Determination replaced her previous uncertainty, fueling a fire she hadn't even realized was igniting. "We can create a strategy to address any sabotage." When she noticed a flicker of hope in Evelyn's eyes, the room responded with murmurs of agreement. "We'll anticipate his moves," one man added, a young father with a steel resolve. "Let us chain our voices with action, and take the opportunity to leap into the next steps. By the end of the night, a plan was taking shape. They departed the community center with a renewed sense of purpose. Their spirits danced to the rhythm of a hopeful heartbeat. Yet, deep down, Sarah's fear still lingered, gnawing at her. She couldn't shake Roger's potential disruption from clouding her peace. "I'll need to be ready," she whispered to herself, the words cold against the warmth of the evening air. The next day arrived stark and gray. As the sun edged reluctantly over the horizon, her thoughts drifted towards the rally. Excitement mingled with tension wrapped in the cool morning air, and as she bundled up, the echo of last night's voices haunted her. Could a community truly unite over fear, or were different motivations at play? Arriving at the center, she was greeted by an unexpected sight. Roger was already there, talking to her fellow neighbors with an unsettling conviviality. Panic surged in her veins. Sarah could feel the weight of every choice like stones in her pockets. Was this a trap? As she approached, adrenaline surged. She had to find out. Was he there to stifle their united front, or could he, against all odds, share some wisdom in the process? "Hello, Sarah," Roger greeted, with a tone far too congenial for her taste. "We need to talk." With her heart pounding against her ribcage, Sarah took a breath, knowing the conversation ahead could change everything. What could he possibly want? Did he really think they could simply negotiate their future? But what if he had information that could make their dreams bloom or wither into nothing? Could there be more at stake than she knew? As she stepped closer, ready to confront him, an uneasy truth tugged at her. A storm was brewing, and the lightning would strike soon. Would she be able to handle the aftermath? "Sarah, I understand your concerns," Roger began, his voice calm and measured, but it sent chills down her spine. "I'm not here to provoke any chaos today. In fact, I think we might have more in common than you realize." She narrowed her eyes, instinctively taking a step back. "You think that just because you show up here acting friendly, I'll believe you?" "Let me finish," he insisted, holding up a hand like a peace offering. "There are forces at play here that none of us can control. But if we really want what's best for Maplewood, we need to find common ground." The room felt frozen. Eyes darted between Sarah and Roger, tension thick enough to cut with a knife. Sarah's heart thudded as her mind raced. This could not be a genuine offer, could it? "What do you mean, forces at play?" she asked, her voice shaking, though she was trying to maintain composure. Roger took a half step forward, eyes gleaming. "Have you noticed the unusual activity around the old mill? People are getting restless. Roger growing in influence over them. That's what worries me more than your rally. He might be planning something that even you can't foresee. You can't fight fire with fire, you need strategy." Just then, Evelyn shuffled closer. "I don't like this. This could be a trap. We're already stronger together, we don't need to negotiate. We can stand against chaos." Roger interrupted, a smirk creeping across his face. "I think it's time for you all to face the truth. The stronger you become, the harder your fall will be if you don't keep an eye on your back." His words ignited a storm of murmurs within the gathered crowd. Sarah's blood ran cold. Was he suggesting that they abandon their efforts? Was this all a power play? "Why should we trust you?" she countered, trying to regain ground. "What's your real motive? You enjoy manipulating people." "Hypothetical," Roger shot back. "What if I'm here to warn you? To lend my expertise? After all, I know what makes communities crumble." A prickling sensation ran up Sarah's spine. Did he really mean it? Did he actually wish to help? The thought unsettled her more than she wanted to admit. Evelyn's hand gripped Sarah's arm, her voice low. "We can't trust him, Sarah. He's playing a dangerous game." Yet a part of Sarah was curious. What if there was an opportunity to turn this situation into something beneficial for the community? If they could navigate this with caution, perhaps Roger's knowledge could truly help them prepare. Give us a reason we should even think about this, Sarah challenged, heart racing. If you really know something, help us, but do it on our terms. Roger's eyes flashed with surprise, and then he nodded slowly. Fair enough. Meet me at the cafe later. I'll lay everything out, strategies, and risks. Consider it an olive branch. As he stepped back, the energy shifted in the room. Sarah could almost feel the weight of decisions pressing against her chest. Should they really engage with him? What if this turned into a slippery slope? After he left, the air buzzed with uncertainty. What are we going to do? Evelyn whispered, glancing around nervously. We'll decide together, Sarah asserted, drawing strength from the crowd. But first, we need to inspect the old mill and make sure we know what we're dealing with or without Roger. A plan began to take shape, as whispers turned into action items. But doubt still gnawed at Sarah's mind. Was partnering with Roger really an option? The air was electric with unspoken fear and hope. What lay ahead could either fortify their community or scatter it apart like so many leaves in the wind. But as they gathered strength to face the unknown, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that a greater truth was lurking beneath the surface. And as the day wore on, she couldn't help but wonder, what if the collaboration with Roger unearthed secrets far beyond her wildest imaginations? What if it revealed truths about herself she had yet to confront? Would she be ready for whatever lay ahead? Doubt hung over Sarah like a thick fog as she stood outside the old mill, its crumbling structure looming against the twilight sky. The air was cooler now, a gentle breeze carrying the scent of earth and decay. She could hear the distant murmur of her community approaching, each step echoing the uncertainty swirling in her heart. What if we find something worse than we expect? Evelyn's voice broke the silence, pulling Sarah from her thoughts. She turned to see her friend, eyes wide, teeth biting into her lower lip. We owe it to ourselves to at least look, Sarah replied, her own voice steadier than she felt. If Roger is right, we might be able to stop whatever chaos is brewing beneath our noses. The crowd had gathered, a collection of familiar faces filled with apprehension. Parents, youth, elders all united in their quiet determination. Sarah swallowed hard, trying to push down her fears. They were in this together, whatever it entailed. She motioned for everyone to follow her, leading the way toward the mill's entrance. Each step felt like crossing a threshold into the unknown. The old wooden door creaked open, revealing an interior cloaked in shadows. The air inside was thick with dust and the smell of damp wood. Dim beams of light broke through from broken windows, illuminating the forgotten relic of Maplewood's past. As the group stepped inside, a sense of dread closed in on them. Stay close, Sarah urged, glancing over her shoulder. She felt the weight of their eyes on her, a mixture of trust and fear. They moved deeper into the building, navigating through rusted machinery and scattered debris. Sarah stopped at a wall covered in faded posters and graffiti. They told stories of a happier time before the mill had fallen silent. Look at this, she said, brushing her fingers against the peeling paper. This used to be a place of gathering. It wasn't just machinery, it was a heartbeat. Evelyn nodded, her eyes scanning the room. The mill might be empty now, but something felt alive within it. Whisperings of the past danced in the air, weaving through memories of laughter and hard work. It was a reminder of what their community could be again. Suddenly, a loud crash resonated from the back room, sending everyone into a frenzy. What was that? Someone whispered, panic prickling the edge of their voices. Sarah's instincts kicked in. Stay here, she commanded, pushing her fear down like a heavy weight. She moved toward the sound slowly, heart racing. As she stepped through a doorway, she found herself in a small room filled with old crates. In the corner, broken pieces of wood lay scattered. And then she saw it, a glimmer catching the light under the debris. A box, ornate and heavy. She crouched down, heart pounding as she pulled it free. Dust danced in the light as she opened the lid. Inside were papers, old photographs, and a map. Her breath caught in her throat. This wasn't just forgotten relics. The map showed more than just the mill, it outlined the entire town, marked with annotations that indicated key resources, even people of influence. What did you find? Evelyn's voice cut through her thoughts, curiosity etched on her face. I think this could change everything, Sarah whispered in disbelief. She could already feel the weight of history surging within her, connecting her to the love and strength of their community. This was hope laid out on a page, a lighthouse in a storm. What do we do now? Evelyn asked, eyes bright with intrigue, but also concern. Sarah looked back at her friends, their faces glowing with the flickering candlelight of determination. We can't let fear dictate our actions. We take this, and we make a plan. Together. As they gathered around, Sarah felt a surge of something she hadn't felt before, something powerful that spoke of possibility. They would turn this into strength. They would face whatever Roger had warned them about, armed with knowledge and unity, but as she studied the map more closely, an unsettling thought crossed her mind: what if someone else already knew about this? What if they were already on the move, closing in on what was theirs? The tension hung thick in the air, shadowing her resolve. Was this just the beginning of something far more dangerous? They needed to act soon, and Sarah felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. The future of Maplewood depended on it, and they were standing at the precipice, and as whispers filled the space, an eerie silence reminded her, they were not the only ones searching for the truth. The air in the mill felt heavy like a storm about to break. Sarah turned the map over in her hands, the yellowing paper crackling softly. Each mark on it seemed to pulse with urgency. She could almost hear the heartbeat of the town beneath her fingers, urging her to act. What does it say? Evelyn leaned closer, eyes glinting with excitement. Sarah shook her head, absorbing the annotations. It's a blueprint of sorts. Our homes, water sources, even the old schoolhouse is here, she said, pointing at the faded lines. It's like a guide to the heart of Maplewood. Do you think Roger knew about this? Evelyn asked, her brow furrowing. Maybe, Sarah replied. If he did, he might have been trying to rally us for something bigger. We need to gather everyone right away. If there's danger, we have to be ready. A voice from the back of the room piped up. Ready for what? We don't even know what we're fighting. A ripple of murmurs spread through the crowd. Faces of doubt replaced the initial spark of hope. Sarah felt her heart flutter. How could she calm them? She needed to be strong. Listen, everyone, Sarah called out, raising her voice. This map is more than old ink on paper. It shows us what we have, what we can protect. Each marked spot is part of our community. This is our chance to reclaim our heritage and safeguard it for our future. But we need unity. If we stand together, we will be stronger than any threat. Evelyn nodded, her earlier fear fading, replaced with resolve. Sarah's right. This is about all of us, not just what we might be facing. It's about protecting our home. The energy in the room shifted slightly. People straightened their backs, finding comfort in one another's presence. It was still tenuous, but it was a start. Can we strategize? Maybe identify places to fortify? Someone suggested from the edge of the group. Yes. Exactly. Let's take the map, and make a plan together. Sarah felt a rush of optimism. She watched as they gathered closer, leaning over the map with faces softened by candlelight and determination, yet, in her mind, doubts flickered like shadows at the edges of a fire. What if they moved too quickly? What if someone was watching, ready to swoop down on the mill at the first sign of their courage? Let's start with the schoolhouse, Sarah suggested, trying to shake off the cold grip of apprehension. It's the center of our community. If we can ensure it's a safe space, we can draw the front line there. As they started discussing strategies, a loud bang echoed from the back of the mill, jolting everyone from their planning. Sarah felt the surge of fear choke the air again, mixing with determination. Go check it out, she said to a couple of brave souls. And stay alert. We can't let anything catch us off guard. The two friends exchanged nervous glances and nodded, moving cautiously toward the source of the sound. The crowd held its breath, tension thickening as they watched, hope tangled with fear. Do you think it could be them? Evelyn whispered, her eyes darting around the dark corners. I don't know, Sarah said, her voice quieter, choosing her words carefully. But we can't assume. We must be ready for anything. The footsteps of the volunteers echoed in the distance, while Sarah felt a sudden chill cascade down her spine. What if the presence they felt was not just a fear of the unknown, but something darker? She watched as shadows danced across the walls, warily waiting for answers, and then she saw it, a figure silhouetted against the light streaming from the door. Someone emerged, cloaked in a darkness thicker than the dust that hung in the air. As the crowd gasped collectively, a thought struck Sarah: whoever they were, they had come for a reason. Why did they choose this moment? And what impact would their presence have on everything they had just begun to face together? The air crackled with intensity, leaving Sarah wondering about the truth behind the figure's intent. The figure stepped into the dim light, casting a long shadow that elongated across the wooden floor. Sarah's heart raced, each beat echoing in her ears like a drum. The air felt charged, brimming with unspoken fears and anticipation. Who are you? Sarah called, her voice steadying despite the tremor inside her. The tension in the room thickened as the crowd leaned forward, all eyes glued to the newcomer. The figure paused, seemingly weighing the gravity of their next words. The dim light revealed a tattered coat, and the face pale and worn was framed by a mess of dark hair. I'm someone who has been watching, they said slowly. Watching you all. Watching this place. A murmur swept through the group, a blend of confusion and intrigue. Sarah felt Evelyn's hand squeeze her arm, a silent gesture of support. What do you mean, watching us? Evelyn asked, taking a bold step forward, her voice rising above the whispers. What do you want? The figure took a deep breath, their gaze darting around the milling crowd before falling back to Sarah. I'm here to help. I know what's coming. The shadows looming over Maplewood aren't just in your minds. They're all too real. Fear flickered in the eyes of many. Doubt loomed within the hearts of the bravest, but Sarah felt an unexpected thrill. Help? You know who or what we're up against? Yes, the figure replied. But you need to trust me. The dangers are deeper than you realize. It's not just one threat, it's a network hidden and powerful. Network? Sarah echoed, her stomach curling at the implications. What does that mean? The figure stepped closer, and with it, a palpable energy rippled across the room. They want to seize what you have. The heart of Maplewood, the schoolhouse, the water sources, they're all targets. But you have strengths here that you haven't even tapped. The word strengths resonated with Sarah. What could they possess that was worth fighting for? She exchanged glances with Evelyn, who seemed to absorb the weight of the moment. Look, we don't have time, the figure urged, urgency creeping into their tone. I can show you how to defend what's yours. We'll need to act quickly if we stand a chance. The intensity swelled within the group. Some faces reflected anxiety, while others glimmered with flickering hope. A fire was igniting, stoked by the promise of guidance. But in the back of Sarah's mind, doubt still lingered. Could they truly trust this stranger? Why should we believe you? Someone shouted from the back, skepticism spilling across the anxious crowd. I understand your worry, the figure replied, shoulders stiffening. But I've seen what happens when communities turn against one another, when fear governs choices. Or worse, when they fail to act. I lost my home, but you can save yours. In that moment, the room fell silent. Faces softened, deepened by shared memories of laughter and love attached to this very place. It was true, they had all fought the tide together in small ways. What do we have to do? Sarah finally asked, her voice clear, cutting through the thick silence. A glimmer appeared in the figure's eyes, a spark of understanding and determination. We must unite, connect the roots of your community. Then, I will show you the way to fortify and defend what is yours. But you need to fire your spirits. Augmented by renewed resolve, Sarah called to the crowd. Let us gather our strengths. We need to prepare for what is ahead, and we will learn together. But the figure raised a hand, stalling the excitement briefly. Remember, though, trust is a fragile thing. One slip, and darkness might rise where light once stood. The enormity of their words settled in, heavy yet awakening. Sarah felt the culmination of their shared fears and hope surging within her. Could they truly build what they needed, despite the shadows looming? As the tension hung thick in the air like the last notes of a fading song, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of something that would change Maplewood forever. Evelyn leaned closer, whispering, "What if everything we've ever known is about to be tested? What if this is just the beginning?" The finality of that thought echoed in Sarah's mind, brimming with possibilities and dangers. She glanced back at the figure, curiosity blooming within her. What depths of knowledge did they possess about the coming storm? But as the candlelight flickered, casting erratic shadows across the faces around her, Sarah felt a stirring in her heart. Would they rise to meet the challenge, or would they crumble under the weight of truth? The moment hung in the air, thick with anticipation. The crowd shifted, whispers blending into a quiet hum of uncertainty and determination. Sarah could almost hear the heartbeat of Maplewood echoing through the wooden beams, a testament to the resilience buried deep within its roots. "Okay," she said, her voice stronger now, cutting through the murmurs. "Let us hear it. What's the plan?" The figure's eyes sparkled with intensity as they glanced at the group. It was a mix of fear and hope that filled the air, but in that moment, Sarah felt a spark of something else: resolve. "To unite, you need to know each other," the figure began, pacing slowly as they spoke. "Maplewood is not just a place, it's a community, a family. We must bring everyone together. First, we gather in groups, small groups, to share what they value most." "Share?" Evelyn echoed, frowning slightly. "What's the point of sharing? We're already in danger." "Sharing is where your strength begins," the figure replied sharply, their eyes locking with Sarah's, pleading for understanding. "You must understand what you stand to lose. Only then will the fight be real." Sarah looked around at her neighbors. Some faces were resolute, others terrified. But beneath it all, she sensed a current of potential, a collective heartbeat of Maplewood waiting to awaken. "But how do we get everyone to talk?" A voice piped up from the back. "Some people don't want to even go near each other." "That's true," Sarah admitted, recalling the tensions from past arguments and quarrels. "But we can't afford that now. We need a reason to gather," the figure interjected. "A purpose. A celebration," Evelyn blurted, her eyes suddenly gleaming. "A festival. Everyone loves a festival. We can invite people, combine our strengths and values in one big event. It's a chance to share and reconnect." The room erupted into a mix of enthusiasm and skepticism. Some nodded, others crossed their arms, weighing the idea with care. Sarah felt sparks of hope blooming. Evelyn's idea could rally the community. The festival could be more than just a gathering, Sarah said, her excitement gaining momentum. It could be a call to arms. We can showcase what makes Maplewood strong. We can share our stories, our fears, and what we care about fighting for. The figure smiled slightly, their posture relaxing a bit. That's the spirit. The festival should not only celebrate what you have but also shine a light on the threat. Make it clear this place is worth defending. In that instant, the fog of doubt began to lift, and Sarah felt the weight of an idea ignite within her. If they could breathe life back into their community, maybe they could face whatever darkness lurked at their door. A wave of ideas swept through the group. Everyone began throwing out suggestions, excitement sparking amid the fear. They could have games, food, art, bring in musicians, dance under the stars, remind everyone of the beauty of being together. but amidst the rising excitement, Sarah felt a twinge of unease. "We still have to prepare for the challenges," she said, voice lowering as the reality of their plan settled on her. "There's still a threat out there, and they want to disrupt us." "Exactly," the figure nodded, urgency sharpening their tone again. "While you unite, we must train. Defend yourselves in ways you haven't thought of yet." A chill traveled down Sarah's spine. It was real, this fight was coming, and planning a festival wouldn't be enough. They would need to face darkness head-on, ready for anything. A bold spark lit within her. "I'm in," she declared, looking around the room. "If we're going to do this, let us do it right. Everyone. We need teams to organize. Who's ready to fight for Maplewood?" One by one, hands shot up. Faces transformed from shadows of fear to bright smirks of camaraderie. And amidst it all, Sarah felt the pulse of their commitment begin to solidify, a bond unbreakable. As the plans unfolded, laughter erupted, weaving through the fear that had pervaded just moments before. Hope lit their eyes like firecrackers, crackling in the dim light, but just as excitement swirled, the figure stepped forward, their voice steady. "Do not let this distract you, the shadows will not wait. Prepare, they are already among you." Suddenly, the darkness felt nearer than ever. Sarah's heart clutched tightly, sensing a perilous truth. She wanted to fight, but would they be prepared for the shadows that might rise when the festival lights faded? The question lingered in the air, hinting at the approaching storm. Sarah could feel the tension in the room shift again as the figure's warning sank in. The excitement that had just swelled became a bittersweet brew of exhilaration laced with anxiety. "We have to act and be cautious at the same time," she thought. She glanced around at the familiar faces and felt the weight of every connection, every life lived in Maplewood hanging in the balance. "Let us focus on the festival first," she suggested, trying to regain the momentum. "It might be our best chance to gather everyone, but we can start some self-defense workshops to get people prepared." Evelyn nodded, her face brightening. "Yes. We can have team-building activities and skills training alongside the festivities. It can be both fun and practical." "This isn't just about food and games," the figure said, stepping forward again. "It can be a celebration, yes. But also a time to show strength. The shadows will be watching. Make them see a united Maplewood." A murmur of agreement flared up in the group. Sarah felt the spark turn into a flame, reigniting their resolve. Over the next hours, they brainstormed ideas. Games turned into competitions, and workshops expanded. There was talk of inviting local artists to display their work, musicians to play, and even food trucks from nearby towns to bring a fresh twist. Would-be leaders of each group stepped up, and energy surged higher and higher. As the plans began to solidify, Sarah noticed something surprising. The tensions from before were fading, replaced by a collective sense of purpose. They were turning fear into action, and that felt powerful. Even the quietest among them found their voices, sharing what made Maplewood unique. Stories poured out, memories of the community festival from years past, of neighbors helping one another during storms, and of moments filled with joy and laughter. Suddenly, the figure called attention. "While we prepare for the festival, we must form a watch group. Keep your eyes peeled for anything odd. If there are shadows nearby, we cannot let them catch us off guard." This reminder brought unease back like a receding tide revealing jagged rocks. Everyone exchanged glances, each person's heart beating a little faster. The smiling faces grew serious, realizing the weight of what lay ahead. After the meeting, Sarah lingered, casting a glance at Evelyn, who was organizing the list of names for volunteers. What if we do all this and they still come for us?" she asked, the tremor in her voice betraying her brave facade. Evelyn stopped, meeting her gaze with fierce determination. "Then we face them. Together. As a community." It felt as if their very essence was echoed in her words, a reminder of their shared history and strength. Out in the fading light, as the sun dipped below the horizon, they set the first steps towards the festival, mapping out spaces in the park, designating areas for training, and figuring out where to set up music and food stalls. Sarah felt that heartbeat of Maplewood growing stronger, the pulse sinking as the group worked together, but as night cloaked the town in shadows, her thoughts drifted back to the figure's words. What if the approach of the festival only made them more visible to the looming threat? Just then, a rustle sounded from the tree line bordering the park. Sarah's heart quickened. She strained her ears, waiting for a sign. Was someone watching? Her breath caught. "We're not ready," she whispered, fear snaking through her veins. How would they stand a chance against the dangers lurking just beyond their joyful plans? Sarah turned, scanning the darkening woods, feeling a deep chill creep in. The shadows were definitely there, and they were only beginning to reveal themselves. As the festival day dawned, Maplewood glimmered like a new dawn, a fresh start. Colorful banners swayed in the gentle breeze, vibrant and alive, reminiscent of the town's rich spirit. Excitement buzzed in the air, mingling with the aroma of baked goods and the echo of laughter. But beneath the festive surface, an undercurrent of anxiety flowed. Sarah stood at the entrance to the park, her heart thrumming nervously. Today was a chance for the community to come together, to strengthen their bonds, yet she couldn't shake the feeling that chaos might still seep through the cracks. The warnings from the figure echoed in her mind, shadows lurking, threats looming. "Hey, don't look so worried. We're ready." Evelyn flashed a reassuring smile, her eyes bright with excitement. "We've worked hard for this. Trust our strength." Taking a deep breath, Sarah nodded. "You're right. Today is about us coming together. It's about hope." She felt a warmth spreading through her, just enough to calm her frayed nerves. "We'll showcase our community's heart." As the day unfolded, families gathered, friends reunited, and familiar faces emerged with radiant smiles. The park pulsed with joy, children darting between stalls, adults sharing stories over food, the sounds of music flowing freely. It was everything Sarah envisioned and more, a snapshot of resilience shimmering against the backdrop of an uncertain future, yet amidst the celebration, Sarah remained vigilant. She kept catching glimpses of shadows at the edge of the park, flitting in and out of her peripheral view. Her gut tightened each time. "I need to stay aware," she whispered to herself. "We can't let our guard down." As dusk began to settle, a quiet hush fell over the crowd. A local band took the stage, and anticipation rippled through the audience. The energy shifted, and she felt the moment growing, filling the air with something electric. This was their chance to unite, to show the world what Maplewood was made of. "Remember this moment," Sarah called out, her voice carrying over the crowd. "With every cheer, we build our strength. Together, we are unbreakable." Cheers erupted, voices melding into a chorus of hope. Sarah's heart soared. This was what community meant, sharing, standing strong, lifting each other up. But suddenly, a low rumble cut through the air, a sound that sent shivers down Sarah's spine. Heads turned, and whispers filled the crowd as a group of figures appeared from the tree line. Clad in dark clothing, they moved with an unsettling purpose, their faces concealed. Fear clutched at Sarah's heart, but she pushed it down. "Evelyn," she gasped, eyes wide. "Keep the kids close." Evelyn nodded, her face tightening with concern as she quickly ushered families toward safety. Together, they formed a protective circle around the younger ones. But Sarah could feel the weight of responsibility press down on her. She needed to confront this head-on. "We will not be intimidated," she shouted, forcing courage into every word. "We stand for Maplewood." The figures halted, a leader stepping forward. "You think your little festival will shield you, Sarah? Your unity is a spectacle, but it won't last when the real fight begins." Rage bubbled within Sarah, and she stepped forward, her voice unwavering. "You don't know us. We are so much more than what you see. Maplewood is stronger than fear. We are family." The crowd stirred, murmurs of agreement rippling through the assembly. Sarah could see hardened expressions softening, neighbors glancing at one another in solidarity. She felt the community pulse, a heartbeat aligned against the shadows threatening to snuff it out. With fists clenched, Sarah turned her gaze back to the leader. "If it's a fight you want, then let us face it together right here. We'll show you what we're made of." There was silence, tense and thick, as her boldness hung in the air. And then, something unexpected happened. One by one, people began to step forward, joining her side. Parents, children, neighbors all raising voices together, chanting, "Together." The dark figures faltered, a flicker of uncertainty crossing their faces. The strength brewing among the townspeople was palpable. It roared with defiance, echoing the very essence of Maplewood. Fluxes of energy surged, connecting everyone in that moment, a realization that fear could not control them, that they were united in purpose. As if struck by lightning, the figures retreated into the shadows, their confidence shattered by the unwavering light of community. A wave of relief washed over the crowd, and cheers erupted again, louder this time. "Look at what we've accomplished!" Evelyn shouted, tears of joy shining in her eyes. "Together." In that moment, Sarah realized they had not only defended their town, but also transformed it. The bond forged that day was more than they had ever imagined. They had faced fear, and together, emerged victorious. As the festival continued, laughter and music spilled into the night. Sarah stood with her community, basking in the warmth of unity. The future of Maplewood was bright, a beacon shining with hope and resilience, and she knew with all her heart they would keep fighting not just for themselves, but for generations to come. In that vibrant park, surrounded by love and strength, she felt alive. Maplewood would flourish again. Together. This is the moment of hope, the moment of transformation. But wait. You need to subscribe right now to not miss out on the next inspiring stories. Leave a like to flood the algorithm with positivity. Comment your reactions, your feelings, let us know how you felt about this incredible journey. And don't wait not even one more second, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support makes all the difference. Let us keep growing together.